Admiral Zeke Hawthorne stood on the bridge of the U.S. Thunderchild, his weathered hands gripping the railing as he gazed out of the viewport to see into the infinity of space. That's when the view screen before him flickered with tactical readouts, a swarm of red dots representing the advancing Krax'ar fleet. Earth's first interstellar war had begun just 6 months ago, and already humanity faced extinction. Status report, Hawthorne barked, his steel-gray eyes never leaving the display. Lieutenant Commander Prisha Chowdhury's fingers danced across her console. Krax'ar fleet holding position at the edge of the Kuiper Belt, sir. Estimated strength 200 capital ships, unknown number of support craft. Hawthorne nodded grimly. The aliens had pushed humanity back to the very doorstep of Earth, systematically destroying colonies and outposts along the way. Now, with nowhere left to retreat, it was time to make a stand. All hands, battle stations, he ordered, his voice calm despite the gravity of the situation. Initiate Operation Poseidon's Fury. As klaxons blared throughout the ship, Hawthorne allowed himself a small smile. The Krax'ar were in for one hell of a surprise. High Admiral Krax'ar lounged in his command throne aboard the Krax'ar dreadnought Worldbreaker. His tentacles writhed with anticipation as he surveyed the pitiful human defenses arrayed before him. A mere 50 ships guarded their homeworld primitive vessels that barely qualified as interstellar, let alone capable of waging war against the mighty Krax'ar Dominion. High Admiral, his second in command, Sub-Commander Krax'ar, warbled. The human fleet is moving. Krax'ar's compound eyes narrowed. Impossible. Their archaic propulsion systems cannot match our speed. They know this. Nevertheless, Krax'ar insisted, they are accelerating rapidly, closing to engagement range. A low, mirthless laugh bubbled from Krax'ar's speech sacs. So be it. If they wish to die in glorious combat rather than cowering on their world, who are we to deny them? All ships, prepare to fire on my mark. The Krax'ar fleet surged forward, weapons primed and gleaming in the cold light of distant stars. As they closed the gap, however, something unexpected happened. The human ships began to change. Now, Hawthorne roared. Activate metamorphosis protocols. Across the human fleet, a miracle of engineering unfolded. Ships that had appeared small and lightly armed suddenly blossomed like deadly flowers. Hidden weapon ports slid open, revealing banks of plasma cannons and missile launchers. Armor plates shifted and expanded, doubling the vessel's effective size and protection. On the Thunderchild's bridge, Prisha allowed herself a fierce grin. Metamorphosis complete, Admiral. All ships reporting ready for combat. Hawthorne nodded, his expression grim but determined. Let's show these bastards what Earth's Navy can do. All ships, engage at will. The space between the two fleets erupted in a dazzling display of destructive power. Human vessels, now revealed to be far more formidable than the Krax'ar had anticipated, unleashed salvos of antimatter-tipped torpedoes and lances of coherent light. The alien armada, caught off guard by the sudden transformation, struggled to respond. Krax'ar's command throne shuddered as another volley of human weapons struck the Worldbreaker shields. Impossible, he screeched, his tentacles lashing in fury. How can their technology rival ours? They were barely spacefaring when we arrived. Krax'ar's carapace had paled to a sickly green. High Admiral, we've lost a third of our fleet in the opening exchange. The humans are using weapons and defensive systems we've never encountered before. Adaptation, Krax'ar hissed. They've taken our own technology and improved upon it in mere months. Fascinating. And terrifying, he paused, considering their options. Signal the fleet. We must. His words were cut short as a massive explosion rocked the Worldbreaker. Alarms blared and the bridge filled with acrid smoke. Direct hit to our primary reactor, Krax'ar shouted over the chaos. Containment failing. Krax'ar's many eyes widened in disbelief. How had it come to this? The mighty Krax'ar Dominion, brought low by a species they had dismissed as primitive. As his flagship began to break apart around him, the High Admiral's final thoughts were of begrudging respect for humanity's ingenuity. Admiral Hawthorne watched impassively as the massive Krax'ar dreadnought split in two, secondary explosions rippling along its length. Confirm that kill, he ordered. Confirmed, Sir Prisha reported, her voice tight with barely contained excitement. Krax'ar command ship destroyed. Enemy fleet is in disarray. Hawthorne allowed himself a small nod of satisfaction. Press the advantage. Don't let up until every last one of those bastards is space dust or in retreat. The battle raged for hours, but its outcome was never in doubt after that initial exchange. Humanity's reforged navy, tempered by desperation and fueled by the combined scientific might of Earth's best minds, systematically dismantled the Krax'ar invasion force. As the last alien ship flickered and vanished into faster-than-light travel, a ragged cheer went up across the human fleet. They had done it. Against all odds, they had repelled the invasion and saved Earth. Hawthorne sank into his command chair, suddenly feeling every one of his 62 years. "Stand down from battle stations," he said quietly. "And get me a secure channel to Earth Command. They need to know. Everything's changed now." In the days and weeks that followed, humanity's victory over the Krax'ar became the stuff of legend. Admiral Zeke Hawthorne found himself hailed as a hero, the architect of Earth's salvation. But as he stood before the United Earth Council, preparing to deliver his after-action report, he felt only the weight of responsibility for what was to come. Admiral Hawthorne Council Chairwoman Elena Sato began, her voice echoing through the Grand Chamber. "You stand before us not just as a military leader, but as the man who may well have saved our entire species. We owe you a debt that can never be repaid." Zeke cleared his throat, uncomfortable with the praise. "With all due respect, Madam Chairwoman, I was just one part of a much larger effort. The real heroes are the scientists and engineers who managed to reverse engineer Krax'ar technology in a matter of months, and the brave men and women who risked everything to field test those advancements in the heat of battle." A murmur of approval rippled through the assembled councilors. Chairwoman Sato nodded, a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "Well said, Admiral. Now please tell us about the battle and its implications for Earth's future." Hawthorne took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. "Council members, what we achieved in the Kuiper Belt was nothing short of a miracle. Our metamorphic ship designs, coupled with the rapid integration of adapted Krax'ar technology, gave us an edge that our enemy never saw coming. But we cannot afford to rest on our laurels." He paused, letting his gaze sweep across the room. "The Krax'ar will be back, and they won't underestimate us again. More than that, news of our victory will spread. Other alien species who might have viewed Earth as easy prey will now see us as a potential threat. We must be prepared." Councillor Dmitry Volkov leaned forward, his bushy eyebrows furrowed. "What are you proposing, Admiral?" "A complete overhaul of Earth's defensive strategy," Hawthorne replied without hesitation. "We need to expand our fleet, establish forward bases throughout our solar system, and most importantly, continue pushing the boundaries of our technological adaptation." He gestured to a holographic display that sprang to life beside him, showing schematics for new ship designs and weapons systems. "These are just some of the concepts our teams are working on. Faster-than-light drives that can outpace anything the Krax'ar showed us. Shields capable of withstanding antimatter bombardment. And weapons that could crack a planet if we so chose." A hush fell over the council chamber as the implications sank in. It was Chairwoman Sato who finally broke the silence. "You're talking about turning Earth into a military superpower." Hawthorne nodded gravely. "I'm talking about ensuring the survival of our species, Madam Chairwoman. The galaxy is a far more dangerous place than we ever imagined. We can no longer afford to be reactive. We must seize the initiative and carve out our place among the stars." For hours, the council debated the merits and risks of Hawthorne's proposal. In the end, faced with the undeniable reality of the threat they faced, they voted unanimously to approve the Admiral's plan. As Hawthorne left the council chamber, he found Prisha waiting for him. Now sporting the insignia of a full commander, she fell into step beside him. "How did it go, sir?" "About as well as could be expected," he replied wearily. "We've got our marching orders. Now comes the hard part." Prisha nodded, her expression determined. "We'll be ready, Admiral. Whatever comes next, Earth won't be caught off guard again." Hawthorne allowed himself a small smile. "No, Commander, we certainly won't. The next time the Krax'ar or any other hostile force comes knocking, they'll find humanity more than ready to answer." 5 years later, High Admiral Grixthal stood on the bridge of the newly constructed super-dreadnought Vengeance Incarnate. Before him, a holographic display showed the Krax'ar's most ambitious battle plan, yet a massive assault aimed at crushing the upstart humans once and for all. "The fleet is assembled," High Admiral Zex Kar reported, his carapace gleaming with fresh war paint. Over 1,000 ships, including prototypes equipped with our latest advancements. The humans will not survive this onslaught. Krax'ar's tentacles writhed with anticipation. Excellent. Let us remind these primitive mammals of their place in the galactic order. All ships, prepare for faster-than-light jump on my mark. But before he could give the command, alarms blared across the bridge. The space around the Krax'ar armada suddenly warped and distorted as hundreds of spatial rifts tore open. Through each rift emerged a sleek, predatory vessel of unmistakably human design. Impossible, Zek's car screeched. They couldn't have known we were here. And those ships. We have no record of such technology. Krax'ar's compound eyes widened in a mixture of fear and grudging admiration. On the central view screen, a familiar face appeared, older and more weathered, but unmistakable. High Admiral Grix, Val Zeke Hawthorne's voice boomed across the communications channel. I wish I could say it's a pleasure to see you again, but we both know that would be a lie. Hawthorne, Krax'ar hissed. How did you find us? How did you get here? The human admiral's expression was grim but determined. Let's just say we've learned a few new tricks since our last encounter. Now, I'm giving you one chance to turn your fleet around and leave Earth space forever. Otherwise. He let the threat hang unspoken. Krax'ar's tentacles lashed in fury. You dare threaten the might of the Krax'ar Dominion? We will crush you and your world into cosmic dust. Hawthorne sighed, looking almost disappointed. I was afraid you'd say that. All ships, you are clear to engage. Operation Kraken is now in effect. The space around the Krax'ar fleet erupted into chaos as the human vessels launched their attack. Ships that seemed to phase in and out of reality, becoming untouchable one moment and delivering devastating blows the next. Weapons that bent the very fabric of space-time, creating localized singularities that swallowed entire squadrons of alien craft. And at the center of it all, the U.S. Thunderchild, Hawthorne's flagship, a marvel of engineering that made its predecessor look like a child's toy in comparison. It danced through the Krax'ar formation, its metamorphic hull constantly shifting to present the smallest possible target while bringing its most devastating weapons to bear. Krax'ar watched in horror as his mighty armada was systematically dismantled. Ships he had considered the pinnacle of Krax'ar military might were swatted aside like insects. And with each passing moment, the humans pressed their advantage, their tactics and technology beyond anything the High Admiral had thought possible. High Admiral Zek's voice was barely a whisper. We must retreat. We cannot win this battle. For a long moment, Krax'ar said nothing. His many eyes stared at the tactical display, watching as the last remnants of his fleet were surrounded and neutralized. Finally, he slumped in his command throne, all fight gone from his body. Signal our surrender, he said, his voice hollow. The Krax'ar Dominion submits to humanity. Aboard the Thunderchild, Admiral Hawthorne watched as the massive Krax'ar flagship powered down its weapons. A ragged cheer went up across the bridge, but Zeke felt only a weary sense of relief. Confirm their surrender, he ordered, and prepare boarding parties. I want that ship secured and its crew detained. As his officers scrambled to carry out his commands, Hawthorne's gaze drifted to the main view screen, where Earth hung like a jewel against the backdrop of space. They had done it. Not just won a battle, but effectively ended a war that had threatened humanity's very existence. Quite a view, isn't it? Sir Commander Prisha Chowdhury said softly, coming to stand beside him. Hawthorne nodded, a small smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. That it is, Prisha, that it is. So, what happens now, she asked. We've defeated the Krax'ar, proven ourselves a force to be reckoned with in the galaxy. Where do we go from here? The Admiral was quiet for a long moment, considering her question. Finally, he turned to face his protégé, his expression a mixture of pride and determination. Now, Commander, we do what humanity has always done. We explore, we learn, we grow. But we do it knowing that we can defend ourselves against whatever's out there, he gestured to the stars beyond Earth. The galaxy's a big place, Prisha. It's time we took our rightful place in it. As the Thunderchild I began its victory lap around Earth's orbit, Admiral Zeke Hawthorne allowed himself to truly relax for the first time in years. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged not just victorious, but stronger than ever before. Whatever the future held, He knew one thing for certain: the stars themselves would tremble at the approach of Earth's navy. The age of humanity's ascendance had begun, and Zeke Hawthorne would be damned if he didn't see it through to the end.